Hello, my friends, and welcome back to New Dalancia, our Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition homebrew campaign. That is a mouthful. All right, so let's just go ahead and dip right in. Actually, really quick update. So Rec is actually going to be out for the next 2 sessions, but I see you in chat there, Rec. You sneaky fucker. With the stretch and hydrate. Thank you for that. All right, so just as always, let's begin with a little what the fuck happened last time. I should have like a little section banner. What the fuck happened last time? I can tell you this. The first thing is that Val went off to go meet with Xavier about his greatsword. So that happened. So he's kind of been out, out of the party for a little bit. Otherwise, if you recall, the rest of you went to go meet with Sergeant Stormrider regarding this message that was sent to Mr. Yestis about this report of a missing person. Do you guys remember how that transpired?
Well, we went to go see Sparky, and it turned out that that he claimed that he never sent out for any person whatsoever, and so we came back to what's his name? Sorry, hang on.
Yestis?
Yeah, we came back to talk with Yestis, and he showed us the note that he got, but it's just at least from my point of view, I believe that it wasn't written by the same person. So we went to go find out some of the information about the missing person, and it turned out that it was an entire family apparently that's gone missing.
So what would seem you all found a journal in the last. Let me see. I think I should have that available to you in handout pages. Yes, right here. So this is the journal that you guys found, and you'll see here that. Okay, that should have. That's interesting how that went down. Why is that showing as a single page? Anyway, the section in handout pages is called Diary of a Young Girl. That should be showing as a single section, but for some reason it's showing multiple pages. Oh, there we go. I had it. I don't know why it automatically set me to multiple pages. That was weird. If you click the little icon, like right up to the, like right here. Yeah, there you go. It'll do single page. So Diary of a Young Girl there shows that I just kind of wanted to put a description. I didn't want to type out the entire journal. So basically that says, there's a girl who was like talking in this journal about, doing chores with her mom and bringing her father presents at work and stuff like that. And then it just kind of ends abruptly with the girl talking about having to find food and water as though she's used to having to fend for herself, and her verbiage kind of betrays some sense that she has always lived this way. So very, very strange. You guys should all have access to that. So that's something that's in your inventory, should you need to, refer to it or anything like that. So
Also, I would say if someone did want to, for example, listen to a replay from last week's events, where would you say they would find it at?
well, either on the Twitch channel or the YouTube channel.
And what is our YouTube channel?
YouTube.com/VGpunx. I wonder if do I still have the little bot thing that'll do that? YouTube. I look like an idiot right now. That did nothing. The goggles. All right. Let me see. Abandoned child not found. Last journal entry. Oh yes. And after all that, as the party was going to sleep, Elanthe went out to go meet with Menorus at the library, who took, some time to read the life and history of Llanwellyn to her, since she's not able to read herself. He also, so I like I said, I have given you that handout, so you can read that at your leisure, if you please. Otherwise,
thanks.
once everyone went to sleep for the night, Ian Fear, you started to have this nightmare about your trials. So we're going right before we cut to that scene. I'm going to go ahead and preload it right now. Let me go ahead and preload that. Right before we cut to that scene, First, let me describe what was happening during that scene. When you originally were at your trials, you recall that the professor, Professor Torzalon, had asked you to cast a firebolt at the training dummy. When you did that in the originally, you had turned him into a squirrel. This time in the dream, however, he seemed to turn into a giant T-Rex. Now, you, Ian Fear, I am going to give you two options in this scenario. Number one, you are allowed to wake yourself up. You can will yourself awake out of this. However, doing so will cause you to take a point of exhaustion that will last you until you are able to get a long rest. Option number two would be to see how this dream plays out the rest of the way and go from there. Your choice.
Heck it, we ballin'. Let's roll.
All right.
Although
Did Ian Fear literally just say "fuck it, we ball"?
Yep.
That was in character.
I will say I'm surprised though that that some of these stats are actually better as my child version than they are as my adult version. Well, adult version.
Well, you know what? Cry havoc and release the dogs of war.
Ow.
All right, so in this instance, you all have a character that is assigned to you for this dream event. I believe we have already rolled up. Yeah, we've already rolled up initiative, and unluckily, it looks like the Tyrannosaurus has rolled an 18.
Yeah, to be fair, like I was a little kitty, and I didn't expect to have.
Oh my god, he's got multi-attack. This is gonna go down poorly. Oh god. Okay.
Good thing it's a dream.
It is in fact a dream. Okay.
Also, it has tiny arms, so I don't know how well.
Yeah, he can't throw punches.
Yeah, right. He is not a monk. He is not going to make a good monk. So he's going to use his multi-attack feature to make two attacks, a one bite against Ian Fear. That's a 22.
Yeah, that hits.
Good God. How quickly is this over? Let's find out. Good Lord.
I was gonna say if it's more than single-digit damage, then it's knocked me out.
We cut to the rest of the party sleeping peacefully in the inn while crickets are chirping in the background.
Right? No kidding. That pretty much ends things right then and there. That is the end of combat. Ian Fear, you die.
I mean, it was still a mystery roll because it still showed as private, but.
All right. In fear, you wake up from your dream, your nightmare. Let me, let's actually... Oh, yeah, no, cool. It actually changed the music like I wanted it to. So is everybody currently present? Where did I put... Yeah, Yolanthea's there. Okay, yeah, cool. Everybody should be here in the scene. Hopefully that loaded for everybody.
All good here.
As for everyone else, Tess, Yolanthe, you have no recollection of the dream that you just had. You just somehow know that Ian Fear was in it. But otherwise, you don't remember what it was about or anything like that.
Wait, I'm sorry. We all had this dream or just Ian Fear?
You all had the dream, but like I said, you and Tess do not have any recollection of what that dream was, just that Ian Fear was in it.
Okay.
I mean, it did just happen pretty quickly, so...
Yeah, it did. It seemed like it was a pretty quick dream, but Ian Fear, everything went black. You woke up in your bed, sweating. You're not exhausted or anything like that, but you are... well, you know, you've just had a flashback dream. That's kind of a traumatic experience.
I think that Yolanthe, having just had a dream about Ian Fear for whatever reason, feels inclined to go like check on him.
By all
So
means.
Wolf Lanthe is going to go padding down
Woof,
the
woof,
hallway.
woof, 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 woof.
Woof.
You just like woof as you walk.
I cannot remember which room.
Ian Figure is gonna sort of
This
pull the
door
covers back real
or
quick
this
to
door?
just double check to make sure he's still wearing his clothes. Say, oh, okay, it was just a dream.
Just a dream. I don't know why you weren't naked in the dream.
I mean,
How
it could've
did
been
you?
one of those
How did you
dreams.
open that door? You tell me how you opened
I'm a
that
very
door, Wolf
smart
Lancy.
With very dexterous paws.
Hey, you'd be surprised. Even my pugs have started to figure out how to open up some of these doors because these aren't like grab a thing and turn it. It's just latches that you have to pull down.
Latches. Okay. In fear, you hear a scratching at the door, and then a
Oh.
wolf comes through.
Huh. Okay.
She
Huh.
tilts her head at Ian Fear and like sniffs the air to make sure everything's good.
I'll say. I mean, just seeing the sniff, I'll be going like, I don't think I'm carrying any food on me, but I can go check.
She kind of like surveys the room a little bit and she's like, all right, seems cool. And then just kind of like turns back.
Oh, okay.
And I guess while she's up, she's just gonna check on everyone else. But you can keep with. I'm just wandering around the hotel. I mean, no, not hotel. Inn
And
right now, so you can just go back to whatever you were doing.
just doing a little bit more out than inning in this case.
Everybody else, you wake up, and I'd like everyone to go ahead and roll a perception check for me. Yolanthe, your sensitive mind notices a wrongness in the fabric of space. Once again,
Whoa.
once again, there is that weird sensation like this. Some sort of background noise that had been there previously is suddenly gone. And just as quickly as the sensation came to you, it's gone.
Just to kind of recap a little bit, we've noticed that in places outside of this bar, right? Like we've
Yes.
noticed it when we're walking around in town too, right?
Yep.
Do we ever feel like it's coming like from a source, or is it just kind of all around?
You don't know?
With my 25 perception,
You
with
have
my
no
sensitive
idea.
wolf mind.
You cannot tell.
Okay, well,
So I guess that
I
might lean more toward it's coming from everywhere, but you really can't get a good grip on it. It happens so quickly that you don't really notice.
I kind of have a little theory that I can't explain in barks, so I'm gonna keep an eye out for tomorrow.
Okay.
Wait, what time is it? Is it morning yet or no?
Oh yeah, it's morning. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
By the way, going into the room that you just went into, you noticed Rec sleeping, but Val and Yestis don't seem to be around.
Okay. Well, it's time for breakfast.
It's like when I start getting up and I start heading over. If I pass by Rex room, I'm gonna say, "Oh, so the rumbling is Rec. It's not the mountain then."
Perhaps it was Rex snoring that turned Chorum into a T-Rex. T-Rex.
T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Dang it, you beat me to it.
T-Rex, like a possessive. Yolanthe, coming into the bar proper, you see You see both
I love when
Kolvar.
my mindlessly wandering my token around pays off.
Well, you see Val, who's sitting across from Yestis. You also see Kolvar sitting next to his wife, Thrail. And they seem to be having a conversation with Trixie. They all turn toward you as you all exit and greet you. The bards who are not playing seem to be kind of lounging about at current. Hess, you wake up.
Hang on, let me move the camera back down. It's a lot of work being the cameraman.
It is a lot of work.
Well, immediately upon waking up, there's a rumbly in her tumbly. So, she'll check on Scrito, make sure he's awake. Ask if he's hungry. He probably is. And then her and her bird friend will head on out to go get some breakfast. Oh my goodness, Scrito. There we go.
Oh my god, I cannot remember how to buy things from people. Can I not do it as a wolf?
Just,
That's
so
weird.
you possibly, but you just you right click them, I think, right?
No,
Or
you
click them?
so double click on their token, and there'll be it'll pull up the list, and then you click on the coins to buy something. Or if you want to
Okay.
buy the I'm sorry, you click on the dollar sign, not the coins. If you click on the coins, it
Yeah.
buys the whole stack. You don't want to do that.
Oh, here we go.
Or I think it buys a stack of them. Hopefully that actually still works. I don't know if they've actually updated that mod or not.
Okay, this Bardic Breathburst burrito sounds pretty interesting.
Isn't it? Bardic breakfast burrito. Let's see what is that? Can I link that?
Yes.
Can I link what that is? Man, that
Because we're
doesn't
gonna
work
need a
anymore.
recipe for that, because that sounds like the perfect sort of morning after a wild party food.
Hell yeah.
Where did I put that? I think it's in the compendiums. Hold on. Well, if you buy it, you'll be able to see the the description of it. It's pretty cool. I worked really hard on this. Yeah, there it is. Aw. Okay. Well, it doesn't show it there, but a hearty burrito stuffed with scrambled eggs, black beans, roasted peppers, and Albert chorizo, topped with salsa and melted
yum.
cheese. Albert chorizo.
Mm.
I wonder how that tastes.
Well, we'll have to find out. I guess we're gonna have to get together at some point and make some of this for breakfast.
Who's having the Shopabin harvest salad? Oh, that's Tess.
It sounds absolutely delicious.
Yeah, you don't actually have to be right next to them to purchase the stuff. You can click on them from pretty much anywhere. That should also go with the market district. As long as you can see the token and click on it, that's all that should be required. Elven Moon Wine. It's a good purchase.
Yolanthe comes up to Tess and kind of like nuzzles at her and barks happily. And she somehow bought some waffles. Don't
Good
ask
morning, you
questions.
all. Val Phelan says. He seems to be chowing down on some, a burrito.
Tess would reach out and pet Yolanthe. Sorry, I was eating a cookie when you
Oh, no
said
worries.
that.
Do they sell cookies?
I think the real life Tess was eating a cookie.
It's
Yeah.
a pocket cookie. She's been
Pocket
carrying it
cookie.
for a few months now.
Well, I mean, at least it's not a pocket burger, so it's a little bit safer.
I thought Healthiest took that from you.
I was about to say it's the
Healthiest give that.
croissant healthiest put on your
Little
plate
dry.
that you've just been carrying.
A little dry and crunchy, but still delicious.
I mean, that sounds like the pocket burger Kelty had.
If you had it in a bag of holding, would it be a
Pocket
portal
burger.
cookie? A pocket burger.
Anyway, so seeing apparently since Val also has the burrito, I'll say this looked interesting. I've never tried something like this. Is this any good?
delicious and hearty.
Is it lip smacking good?
Oh gosh.
What do you mean?
I will do sort of the. I'll go. Does it make this face? Does it make you want to make this face and make that horse face?
Val grimaces. It does not make me make that face. Oh yes. And so, today would seem to be the day that we go and, well, try to find this book, as it were, from the library. Do you guys recall?
Oh, the one that was missing about
That's
the
overdue,
fake
right?
monsters, right?
Yep. That quest right there, the missing manuscript.
I think that Yolanthe is having a little trouble eating her waffles as a wolf, so she de-wolfs and turns back to her normal form.
Wham.
Whamp.
That's the sound it makes as well.
Womp.
Wham. No, it doesn't. Val polishes off his breakfast with absolute, really quick. Just stuffs it in his face. What of the rest of you? Any other plans today?
We should find out more about what's been going on with these with this missing family. I mean, a house is fully furnished, but no one living inside, according to the memories of everyone. And with the incident with my own friend, apparently, where I believe them to be dead and could have sworn it to be true, and yet they are alive and no one with memory of otherwise. Some really strange things going on here.
And I'm going with you. You hear a voice from around the corner in fear as a familiar face steps out into your view. That is, if you'll have me.
Well, I mean, you've always been there when I've had the issues in the past, and you helped me get out of those tight spots then.
I might be a bit afraid of what may come of this, but it's important to you, and so it's important to me too. Zarahi circles around Yestis and takes a seat at the table. Oh, it is good to see you again. She nods.
I'll say, so, I mean, I suppose the book might be the first place to start if this seems like it might be the sort of easiest thing to potentially get info on, although with as big a city as Shopapin is, that still might not be that easy.
Well, you know where the home is because Menorus had provided you at least that much detail.
Yeah.
It wasn't the house that that I snuck into last time, is it?
No.
Okay. Gosh, wouldn't that have been easy?
No, that was actually in the upper city. This is going to be in the lower city outside the walls.
Yolanthe wipes a little bit of syrup off of her face and says, I personally would love to get out of this city for at least a little while. Let's go check it out.
Indeed. We've only been outside the walls once. I'm anxious to see the rest of the city.
And I'm sure my mom's already going to be clamoring for me to come back, apparently.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it has been a while since we've seen each other, so it would not surprise me if she would want me sort of to stop by. It has been a day or two, so.
I see. I suppose that makes sense. So you guys all heading out from here?
I think so.
Everybody else on board?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut over to the landing page, which is actually going to stop the music. So let me go ahead and get other music started here. Let's see. Oh, yes. Stop the music. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, sorry. What's a good... You know, I'm really partial to this song. Let's use that. All right. So for a moment, I'm going to turn your attention over to the Shopabin City map. I'm going to activate that right now. Welcome back to the Shopabin City map. You are currently in the, in the upper city here. At What Ails You Tavern. We'd say it's probably about a 30-minute-ish jaunt to get to your destination, which is in the lower city, down in this area here. I'm going to go ahead and reactivate the thing here. Okay, so there's our landing page. One more moment while I get data pulled up. Searching through the lower city, once you exit the gates, it becomes pretty apparent to you this divide that exists between those who live are fortunate enough to live beyond the safety of the walls of the city, and those who, don't. Those who live along the edge of the Verdantin Chantra, which is the forest that surrounds Shopabin. The houses, a bit more humble, a bit more rundown. People still mill about in the streets, and there are these dots of small businesses that exist out there, but nothing so prominent that you have seen within the city walls. And after perusing the lower city residential district, you finally come to the home described by Professor Vrego. It's a small home. A recently tended garden takes up the majority of space in the front of the residence, and a wooden door, a single window are the only fixtures decorating the front of the small house. What will you do?
What's the professor's name?
Professor Menorus Vrego. He is, I think did I put him in the, I did not put him in the journal. Let me add a note for myself to put him in the journal. Put that in the notes here. Okay.
I would like to make a perception check on the house.
What are we looking for?
Looking to see if there's any signs of anybody being inside.
Go ahead and roll it. A 22. Nice roll. All right. like I said, there is a single window on the front of the house. As you approach the house, you kind of peer through the window. It looks as though nobody is currently inside. There doesn't seem to be any activity, and listening closely, you don't seem to hear any noise coming from the house. It is a little bit difficult to pinpoint, but your honed perception skill allows you to determine that there isn't any sound explicitly coming from the house.
Okay.
Exclusively.
Does it seem like there's any guards or anybody like watching right now?
No, but there are plenty of people kind of walking about the streets.
She turns over to the others and she says, I can get inside and see if I can find the book. If you guys can stand watch.
Why don't we knock?
I don't think anybody's in there, but I suppose it's worth it to try it. Oh. That caught me off guard.
You wait for a little while. Maybe one more try. No sooner than Val finishes his final knock on the door gives way and just kind of slowly swings open. Interesting.
I'll call out, hello, Avon calling.
What does that mean?
It's a wizard who specialized in perfume making.
I believe so. It's just from an ancient...
I don't know.
It's an ancient phrase that I heard in one of these lectures a long time ago.
That sounds like a Tomb of Annihilation scheme. I don't really know what that is, but I heard it once. The tiny entry foyer gives way to a larger sitting room adjoined with a dining area. Two cozy chairs flank the hearth, and beyond them a wooden table with a simple fare of bread and broth laid out upon it. A wooden door lies beyond a small cooktop and counter. Anyone home? At all? I think you may be right, Yolanthe.
And it looks like we don't even have to be sneaky. The house is practically inviting us in. So Yolanthe just kind of like tentatively steps into the house.
Phelan follows right behind you.
Yolanthe eyes the bread and, you said broth?
Correct, yes.
Does it look like it's like warm? Or does it look like it's been sitting out for ages?
Are you wanting to go and check?
Yeah, I'll go check out the food.
How do you want to check the broth for warmth?
She kind of... Nah, you know what? She, like, dips her finger in it and, like, takes a little sip.
Seems to be a chicken broth, and it does seem to be room temperature.
She looks at Val. She says, someone's been here recently enough. We better find this book and get out of here.
So there's one exit to the living, sitting area, a wooden door lying beyond the small cooktop and counter. Currently shut, I might add.
Yolanthe picks up the bread to give to Tess, and then she goes over to the door and kind of puts her ear up against it to see if, like, what kind, does it look like it's a room, or does it look like it's like a pantry or something?
It looks like it might be to a room, kind of a larger door.
Okay, she puts her ear up against it to hear if there's anyone or anything.
Okay, perception check, please. And Tess, you have bread. Bread.
She puts it in her bag.
I'll add that to your...
Old bread. Thanks, Yolanthe.
Actually, no, it's not old at all. It's actually quite pillowy and soft.
Ooh, yummy bread then.
Like, it's not stale or anything like, old bread would be.
Yeah, just put it over a fire, grab some garlic butter, and you're good.
So I rolled a 24 perception against the door.
Now that you're inside, and the sounds of the outdoors have been muffled, it's a lot easier for you to perceive sounds and other such motion inside. But you detect no such thing beyond this door. It seems that the place is either vacant or somebody beyond this door is extremely quiet.
All right. Well, Yolanthe, that's good enough for her. So she's reaches down to open the door if it's unlocked.
The door is unlocked. It creaks open. A few furnishings fill this small bedchamber, and as you look around expectantly, you find no sign of recent inhabitants. Perhaps the one who laid here has simply gone on holiday, but the mind of its seasoned adventurer such as yourself always turns thoughts to things more sinister. The little desk catches your eye as you continue to observe your surroundings, atop which are 2 books, one open and one closed.
She chuckles and says, well, that was easy, and goes over to the books and picks them both up.
The closed book was set to the side of the desk. It is a maroon leather-bound cover, which bears the title Mythical Monsters of Madness.
I assume I basically walk out of the room and hand them to Val and say, is this what we're looking for?
That appears to be the one.
What about the other one?
Next to that, another book is sitting open on the desk before you pick it up. It's cocked slightly to one side, and there seems to be text written only on one of the 2 open pages. You notice a quill and an ink pot are sitting very close by, betraying that the book was recently receiving a written edition.
Hopefully it's not talking about the castle.
Would you like to inspect either of these?
I would not, because I wouldn't know what I'm looking for, but I'll give them over to Val so he can. And then I'm going to leave the room and go pick up that bowl of broth and start drinking it.
Val actually follows you out to the table and sits down and lays the books out. Would anyone else like to have a look with me?
He's interested in things about mystical creatures.
Yeah, Tess will sit down and have a gander.
I haven't started filling out one of these yet. Let me go ahead and add a note to myself to do that. Okay.
So, while they're looking at the books, Yolanthe's she's just casually sipping out of the bowl of broth, but also kind of like looking around. Is there more to the house?
No, this actually seems to be a very quaint little residence. There's not really much going on here. Looking out the, there actually is a, to get to the back, you would have to go around the house, but you can see out, you could see out there as you were approaching the house, and it seems as though there was like a little garden, as well as like an outhouse hanging out there.
Okay, well, Yolanthe's gonna go check out the garden. We don't have to follow along. She's just not too interested in the book.
Okay. For everybody else who is who's checking out the book, so the cover of the Mythical Monsters of Madness is maroon, and it's made of leather. Flipping through the pages, you see several hand-drawn figures of fantastical fauna, curious critters, and a menagerie of marvelous monsters. The author's name also appears on the cover of the book. It seems to be written by a Professor Alistair Blackthorne.
Any bombastic bugs or interesting insects?
It is so, yes. Tons. It seems to be an account of a bunch of made-up monsters. but the text seems to almost take these obvious works of fiction and try to prove them true.
Fantastic beasts and where to find them. Eat your heart out.
Indeed. The other book sitting next to it on the desk that was retrieved. Let me see. So you guys flip that open. I'm going to go ahead and configure the ownership of this. There we go. This appears to be someone's journal. And there are multiple pages that have writing in them. The first one that you flip to is a page bearing a date about 1 week ago. It says, "I think I've finally come across the book that can fuel my adventure story. It's called Mythical Monsters of Madness, and I think I can use the creatures herein to bring some life to my novel. Surely this rewrite will have those jerks at the Institute groveling at my feet to get their hands on my works. The book is written almost as though it were a first-hand account, but I am going to do my best not to plagiarize Professor Blackthorn's work." On the next page, an entry from several days ago, or dated from several days ago. "Today I went to What Ails Ya to meet up with a friend, but they didn't show. I suppose they got sick. Really hope they're okay. I ordered a drink and came back to continue my writing. I think I may be getting sick. I've had a cough all day and my throat is starting to feel like it has sand in it. This better not keep me from my writing. I don't have time to spend bedridden. I've so much work to do." Another page, dated yesterday. "Damn it all, I am sick. I've been in bed most of the day, but I'm determined to get my writing done. It looks like this book is going to be late getting back to the library. I'd better write a letter to Professor Vrago to apologize. This will be the first book I've ever returned late. It feels like a defeat in my mind. Interesting how that works." On the final page, bearing today's date, "I still haven't been able to get out of bed. I wonder if this is the same sickness that came over my and the text ends abruptly. At the bottom of the page is an ink blot with several words in all capital letters which appear hastily scrawled. Help! It is killing us."
All right.
Foreboding.
Illness. I wonder. And especially if it came back, from when he came back to the What Ails Ya. We'll have to go back and we'll ask them if they remember seeing him. Because he said he thought he was feeling sick that day and had a cough all day, so.
Strange question. Do you remember who this is?
I'll say wasn't this the friend of the librarian?
Perhaps we should go and get a name. That way we know who we're asking about, of course.
Right.
That sounds like a logical plan.
Curious. Perhaps I'm overreacting. Well, lead the way. Val closes up the books and, would any of you like to hold on to these? Otherwise, I could throw them in my pack.
I'll say, I mean, I think the best bets, I mean, I've been around libraries. I know how to handle these.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and add those to your inventory in here. One moment. Okay, Mythical Monsters of Madness, and I suppose I didn't make a... Yeah, I didn't actually make an item for the second one, so that one's in the journal, but either way. You have it in your inventory as well. Yolanthe? You had something?
Oh, I was just saying, while all of this is going on, I'm chilling out in the garden, smoking my pipe. I'm just kind of people watching.
Outside, you notice the garden appears to be recently tended. There are various herbs and vegetables growing, and otherwise there's an outhouse. The entire establishment seems pretty small and humble, as do the rest of the houses in the lower city.
I definitely pick up a vegetable and start, like, munching on it.
You pick up an entire head of lettuce and just start eating it like it's
Yeah.
an apple.
Just chilling, pipe in one hand, stolen lettuce in the other, just vibing.
I mean, hopefully it is, ripe or at least ready for munching on and, not too early in its life.
Yeah, she's eating worse. Is there anybody outside that looks interesting? Any hot goss floating in the air?
Just your usual fare. Bunch of people, families, things like that, kind of wandering the streets. That's a little ways away from where you're at. The main street is, at least it's an eye shot at least, but it's a little further back from where you are. You're kind of on like a little side dirt street that has a bunch of houses kind of planted here and there.
Okay. Well, she's pretty much just chilling outside, waiting for everybody else whenever they're ready. So.
Yeah, let's we should continue on. Maybe we should be asking folks about if they've noticed people who've been getting sick recently.
Are there any signs of struggle? Like the door opened kind of on its own? Like did it look like the door was like kind of broken in by anybody from the outside?
Can you roll an investigation check for me, please?
Yeah.
So for the rest of you, for you, Ian Fair, you see Tess stand up, look on her face, sort of very, I don't want to use the word intense, but more...
Just concentrated.
Right, concentrated. That's a good way to put that.
She's just kind of bent over, peering at the sides of the door to see if there was any way that somebody may have gotten in from the outside.
It doesn't appear that there was any signs that the door was... broken into, but you do notice there are some imperfections on the door handle and fixture itself, as though it has been in need of repair for some time.
Are there any other signs of struggle, like in the immediate room? Like if somebody was forcefully removed from the home?
So you start to investigate the house as a whole. In the living area, the first thing that really jumps out to you is the broth set out upon the table. It almost appears as though it was prepared and waiting for somebody to consume it, and that person was suddenly no longer there. Going through the bedroom, it doesn't appear that there is anything in the least bit out of place. The only thing that really catches your eye there is that journal had that ink blot at the bottom with a line traced out down the bottom. Otherwise, there doesn't appear to be any sign of a struggle or anything.
Just poof, gone.
So, yeah, it's almost as if they just vanished.
And Tess will go ahead and leave the house.
One way that you're able to discern that is that the chair sitting in front of the desk is pulled out as though somebody had just like scooted back and stood up.
As we get ready to head back, I'll say one thing we should note is if this is something that affects people's memory, I mean, if they mentioned that this book was going to be late, and the library would have a record of who checked it out. So, I mean, at least there we would have a way to sort of start getting some information on who they were and maybe who they interacted with.
Indeed. Curious that we weren't told ahead of time.
Yolanthe,
Anyway.
are you guys outside or still in the house?
We're probably heading outside, so you probably hear
Yeah.
some of this
Okay.
conversation as they're coming out.
Yolanthe swallows her bite of lettuce and tosses the rest back behind her and is like, "What are you guys talking about?"
I'll say from this book. I mean, presumably this was supposed to belong to someone who was supposed to return this, but we didn't get a name of, as far as we remember.
Oh. Well, we can always just go return the book, I guess.
That would
Who
be the
was it
right
anyway?
thing to do.
Did he die?
I
It is-
certainly hope not.
Uncertain.
His journal mentions something that is killing them, though. Something about the cough, a sickness. So keep your eyes and ears open for people that may sound sick.
Yolanthe takes a puff of her pipe and she's like, maybe the library has books on everything, right? Maybe they have a book about sickness.
That would be a good place to start. So, are y'all headed? I take it y'all are headed back to the library in that case,
I think so.
rather
Yeah.
than the Hall of Cognition is what it's called.
Walk, 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 walk.
Having listened to all of this, sorry, one moment here. I'm still preparing the scene. But having listened to all of this, Sarahi, who has been just kind of
Oh, I
quiet.
forgot she came with us.
Yeah, Sarahi is kind of standing there, quiet the entire time. This is all very scary.
Yolanthe narrows her eyes at Sarahi and points at her like, "You're not sick, are you?"
No, I feel fine. As you step outside, Yestis, who did not enter the house with you, is just kind of standing in the street, and he seems to be smoking on a very small pipe. Hey, find anything? Did that come through?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We found
Well,
the
we
book?
found a missing book that we were supposed to return, and we found what appears to be a journal entry.
Nobody home, I take it.
No. Apparently they've gone missing too.
Another missing person. Weird.
He said he got sick.
Yeah, there was mention of someone getting sick, and possibly maybe that might be a clue as to what's going on. Apparently, maybe it's just the case of an epidemic where they're now being taken in the middle of the night or something.
If it's anything like what's happening over in Solterra right now, do you think it's possible they could be turning into the undead, wandering off?
I think that people would notice that.
Yeah, usually when the undead turn, they tend to seek out their source of food, especially like in large groups if possible. But usually they'll head towards the cities.
That's fair. That is fair. Well, where to now?
We should at least return this library book, see if maybe getting some information about the person who was supposed to turn this in might yield some sort of ideas about why they disappeared, and see if maybe that ties into what happened with the other folk.
Legit plan. Lead the way. You all take about an hour and a half. About an hour 15 to an hour and a half walking through town, and eventually make your way to the Institute of Thaumaturgy, to the Hall of Cognition. Go ahead and activate the scene there. And since it's going to totally triple the music for no reason, let's go ahead and narrow that down. As you walk into the library, once again, the librarian, Menorus, approaches you.
Does this lady just live in this library?
Oh, she definitely seems to have been here for some time.
Sus.
One moment, if you please. A little bit further prep work.
I mean, it seems to me that
This is some like
probably,
spooky library music.
Ian himself probably also sort of like spent plenty of time get away from people here, so
Yeah, you definitely have spent some time here. In fact, I mean, you remember Menorus from growing up, but you hadn't seen him in years. He approaches you. Any luck with the book?
I'll say, found the book, but we also found something interesting. Did you notice anything sick or coughing or anything like that with them?
Who?
I'll say the person who checked the book out.
I don't know that book was checked out. It was just missing.
Ooh. Can I roll an insight check on this guy?
Absolutely.
So I'm specifically looking to see if he's like genuinely confused or shocked, or like, you know.
He does look a little bit confused at the question, but otherwise he does appear to be one like completely genuine.
Okay. Good. I was gonna be real sad if my new friend is turning out to be some kind of like magical serial killer.
I'll say, well, that's odd because according to their journal entry, they said that they checked this book out and it was going to be returned late.
A journal entry?
So I'm gonna pull out both books from the bag.
Yes, that's it. Mythical Monsters of Madness. Oh, wherever did you find this?
Say the home of
We definitely didn't break into anybody's house.
right. What was the name again? It was Professor
Menorus Vrago. Professor Vrago.
Professor Vrago was the name.
No, that's his name.
Oh no, Professor Menorus.
What is the name you're trying
Are you
to?
asking about the name of the person in front of us or the name of the person who wrote the journal?
Yeah,
The name of the
What?
person who wrote the journal?
yeah.
No idea. They don't seem to have their name listed anywhere in there. So, do you show him the journal?
But yeah, I'm going to show him the journal.
Oh. Whoever this was seems to know who I am. I don't remember checking this book out to anyone.
Well, if you don't have the memories, you would have still made a log because you were certainly one of the more efficient librarians. So you would have had it somewhere, especially in the overdue.
Well, it could have been the other library curator. Let me call her. He, you see him places his finger onto his ear, onto a small earring that he's wearing. Serena, if you'd be so kind. Your son's here.
Oh.
Oh, you know your mom was a
No,
library curator.
Well, I mean, I knew that she did go into the library eventually, but yes. My memory, I think, was probably a little bit different then.
Ah, I figured we'd run into each other again.
Well, I mean, it has been over a day, so I'm sure it was going to have to happen eventually. At least there's no bars between us this time.
Indeed. Also, I'm sure you've been quite busy. I know not the reason for your return, but I'm sure you have your reasons.
Well, for the return is one thing, but this is a different matter. So, we were told that there was a book missing. When we went to go seek it out, we found it in a home. And according to a diary that we found with the book, it was overdue. But according to Menaris here, he doesn't remember checking it out. And he had no memory of it ever being overdue.
Which book is it?
Mythical Monsters.
Oh, yes, that book has been missing for some time. I don't remember it being checked out, though.
Say, according to this journal, it was only checked out a week ago.
Interesting. Not sure how long the book had been missing, to be honest. Well, if it was checked out, we should have it on record, shouldn't we, Professor? Yes. I'll go check right away. He kind of walks off. You see him unlock the door at the back wall, and he proceeds inside, closing the door behind him. Well, whatever the case, I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it. Do come in, out of the doorway. It is cold. Val just kind of takes a seat at the table. He huffs. Kind of a long walk. All this pinging.
Ping, 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 ping.
Before long, Menaris appears back to the door, closes and locks it behind him, and proceeds back to the end of the table here. It does seem that this was checked out. Someone named Lurtrum. Have you ever heard that name, Sarina? No? That name doesn't ring a bell.
Well, that is odd.
Intriguing.
Especially if this was over a week ago, because, like, if this was only a week ago, this should still be fresh in memory.
Yeah, I'm not liking this one bit, says Yestis under his breath.
Yolanthe looks at the professor and says, "Have you noticed people acting strange lately or getting sick?"
Getting sick? No. Outside of what's happening in Solterra, no. But of course, that hasn't, well, made its way over here yet.
Lertrum. I'm assuming on the walk back to the library, everybody filled Yolanthe in on what was written in the journal. She turns
Yes.
to Ian Fear and says, "Does the journal mention the friend by name that he was trying to meet?"
I don't believe it did.
It did not.
Maybe we should go ask the people at the tavern if they know who it was. Maybe that'll be our next step to figuring out what's going on.
I mean, if they were regulars, especially if this Lurtrum was known to the inn people, then hopefully their friend was. But the thing is there's a record of a Lurtrum checking this book out, and only a week ago, and yet, well, at least according to the diary entry. And if we couldn't remember recently, like, if no one else does, that's certainly puzzling, especially given the other information we have.
Indeed.
Yolanthe looks a little bit disturbed, and she pulls out her pipe as if she's about to smoke it. But then she remembers she's inside. She kind of stands up, and she's like, "I'd like to go have a little smoke if anybody would care to join me." And she kind of nudges at Val.
Yes. I think I could use some time to clear my head as well. Friends, I will return briefly.
I can't.
I'm just going to pull you guys. Oh, well, I didn't actually leave myself any padding here, but I'm going to go ahead and remove you guys from the scene. As for the rest of you, Yestis sits down in the place where Val was sitting. Kind of hoists himself up onto the chair. He's a gnome, remember? So, let me see if I've got all this straight. A week ago, someone checked out this book. Well, something like a week ago, someone checked out this book named Lurt. There are two library curators that work at the Hall of Cognition. Yourself, Professor Vrago, and you, Professor Gem. And neither of you remember checking this book out to this individual, is that correct? Yes. Yes, that's correct. So it would seem I am racking my mind, but not a single memory of checking this book out remains. It is weird. You see, yes, just kind of looking off in one direction, his arms folded over.
The other thing the person who wrote the diary mentioned was this is the first time they've checked the book out that it was going to be late, which means they've had a history of checking out books from here previously. So and especially being on time. So there's had to have been multiple interactions.
I swear to you that I don't know anyone by the name Lurtrum. Nor do I. It doesn't bring up any mental image. Do we know if he was a student at the academy?
I mean, if he was a student otherwise, we certainly should be able to find some census info about them.
Actually, I can cut in at that point. Typically, students don't tend to live outside the walls. His home was outside the walls well, how did we get that information?
We were given the address.
By whom?
If I recall, it was Val was given it. I think from the librarians.
Who specifically did you speak to? Was I here for that?
I didn't speak to them, but I know they spoke to, I think it was Val or Rec.
That would have been
Does
me.
think it was Rec.
I remember speaking with your friend. I don't know where this person, Lurtrum, would have lived. However, I'm not sure how you would have gotten their place of residence. Well, that just creates even more questions, doesn't it?
I mean, because you sent us to retrieve the book, because you said that it was that it was overdue. But now, according to you, it was simply missing.
Oh,
Uh,
doesn't make any sense. Oh. He starts kind of rubbing his head between his horns, and he looks genuinely troubled by this. So,
This sickness you mentioned from a place that started with S. Can you clarify on it a little more? You say it has
From the
not
city?
reached here.
oh, yes, you all are aware of it. It's the magical plague. The continent.
Are there any plans instated here for when that sickness hits?
As far as I know, the Institute has instated a no magical travel policy to try to keep the city and the Institute safe from the virus.
Just for a general sickness like coughing, itchy throat. There's a dedicated medical team here, yes?
That would be at the castle, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything I can do. At this point, let's go ahead and cut to intermission for 15 minutes. I will see you all back then. Welcome back. We are, or while we left off, we were in the library. Let me restart the music here. It's hard to listen to the music in the game and also hear the rainwave stuff that I'm monitoring at the same time, so I'm having a tendency to like pause it. You're right though, this track is pleasantly creepy. But I mean, so is the mystery. So,
Does match the vibe.
right before we cut, let's see, you were asking Menoris.
Yes,
were you
we were asking about how we got the address for where to find the book, and we mentioned that it was given to Rec, and then we mentioned Rec was the one who got the job, but Menoris didn't. He had memories of giving the sort of the job, but not sort of all the details, like the where to get the book from.
Right? And so, no memories about any of this whatsoever. None, I'm afraid. Indeed, I do not remember this Lurtrum person.
Well, according to them, they had a history of at least checking out the books, so we can at least start there. So maybe if they do have a record of checking out books, then we can at least figure out by checking out these books what that history was. And then thinking about it, I'll say, actually, they were talking about using this book to do rewrites for their own stories, so they must have been an author of some kind.
Interesting. An author. I don't really know what we'd be looking for in their checkout history.
Well, we can start there just to see that we have to see how long of a history if they've checked books out, they've had with the library. If they are actually an author, maybe we can see if they have any published books or articles.
He's right. We should build a profile on this person just to get a history and a general idea of who they were before they disappeared. Oh, well, I can take care of this. I'll be right back. And he immediately turns back toward the same door as before, opens up and walks inside, closing the door behind him. Well, it's a large library. This could take some time. Suddenly having a smoke seems like a pretty good idea. I think I'm gonna head outside too. Come back in 20 minutes.
Yeah, maybe getting our heads cleared up, at least will give us a different perspective.
Yes, turns toward your mom. Says,
Oh, my mother!
I'd just like to thank you for your assistance in all this. I understand it's really confusing, but we'll get to the bottom of it. Sure. She looks genuinely worried. Yestus then goes to step outside. Sort of a flourish of his long coat.
Tess could also use some fresh air.
You go ahead and switch back to, man, I wish it didn't have to like end the music every single time, but it really started over. Well, okay. So you're all outside at this point. You come out, you see Val just kind of sitting upon the steps of the library leading up to the door. Find anything interesting?
Well, there was a record of the book being checked out, but the librarians couldn't remember for the life of them the person who checked it out. More so, they couldn't even remember it being checked out. When we talk further, I mean, as I was recalling from the diary, or at least the journal entry, they were saying that they were using the book to sort of make rewrites on a story they were writing currently, which to me meant that they might have written stories beforehand. So,
I recall they also mentioned that
whoever this person was trying to submit their works to the Institute.
So possibly, they must have been like doing. If they have, maybe they had some submissions beforehand in terms of being an author. But besides which, just to see, if they've checked out, if this is their first library book that is gone late, then that implies that they've had library books that haven't been late. So maybe they can start building a profile of what library books were checked out.
Interesting. To what end?
Possibly we can determine more about them based on what kind of books they look to check out, whether it was simply for casual reading or whether they used it for reference material.
Also, if I might be so bold, we could also use that information to give a rough idea of how long they lived here. Might draw some other conclusions from it as well. You never know.
Yolanthe has been, like, this whole time quietly smoking and just kind of staring off into space, like, completely, like, lost in thought.
Lost in the sauce.
No, like, you can see, looking at her face, that some gears are turning. But she's just kind of, like, unfocused on any of you. She's just, like, thinking.
Sarahi, Ian Fear, who's been sort of quiet this whole time, kind of leans into you. I'm not sure what you've been up to since you've been away, but does trouble like this, does it just seem to follow you around?
Oh, if I'm not in the pockets of one person, I'm smack dab in the middle of a global pandemic, or the undead, or altered realities. I'm gonna kind of say this in a little bit of a sarcastic tone.
Seems like you've had an interesting time the past 2 years. Want that I could have been there. Her voice sort of trails off, and she's looking off into the distance.
It was a little odd, anyway, that it was only was it yesterday that we got this job? Or was it the day before? And yet now they have no complete memory of this person. And I mean, it was mentioned that, the food was still, like, at least room temperature warm. So whoever it was, they were taken possibly today, if not, yesterday.
The journal did seem to indicate that the last entry was today's date.
So
does anyone know of anything weird happening earlier today? Any weird feelings?
Yolanthe actually, like, starts, and she kind of looks at Tess when she says that, and she kind of leans into the rest of the group, and she's like, have y'all been noticing a weird feeling lately? Like, every now and then things just get a little too quiet?
For just a split second.
Yeah, we've had that happen a few times now, and this morning was a little different. It felt like it was, like, something was wrong with reality. What if every time we get that feeling, something changes around here? Like, something is messing with reality.
You think that might have something to do with these missing folks?
I think so.
Hmm.
I think every time we get that feeling, maybe something in the city changes, like someone blips out of existence. I mean, think about it. Everyone that we've been looking for that's missing or, suddenly not in a house, nobody seems to have any memory of them ever existing.
Question. Do you think that this would imply that whatever this is has some direct connection to us? Or do you think that there are others that notice the same phenomenon?
Nobody's ever seems to say anything when we ask if anything weird's going on, but I don't know that it has to do with us. I mean, we don't know any of these people, do we?
You haven't noticed anything
I guess we
like
wouldn't
that.
know. But my thought is, whatever's doing this would have to use some really powerful magic, right? She looks at Ian Fear and she says, "What's the most magical place in this city?"
I mean, most likely the Institute. It is the literal center where magic learning happens.
Yes, I have
I
to
think
agree.
we need to go check that place out at some point and see if there's anything going on there that's maybe a little bit less good intentioned.
Well, we are on campus. It would be very brief to stop by. Well, I'm not really sure where we'd go. I've never been to a college before.
Me either, and it looks real big.
A lot of people.
But I bet if I could get in there, maybe I could check some places out that we're not actually technically supposed to.
I'd be careful with that around here, Yolanthe. Remember, these are mages.
That's true.
From my readings, I understand that the ability to detect such magic is somewhat of an elementary thing. Would you not agree, Ian Fear?
Yes.
Were you listening to me?
Yes.
Ian Fear's over here like candy or something. Just like completely focused on that.
He took a hit out of Yolanthe's pipe. He's like, "What? Oh, yeah, sure. 5.
Hits it. Yes. I didn't say anything that time.
Sure.
Yolanthe looks around and she sighs and says, "Well, there's one other place that's probably a little magical."
What's that?
And she kind of puts her pipe away real slow, kind of reluctant to even answer, but she's like, "Well, there's a lot of druids in this town, right?"
Oh, you're talking about the temple. Different kind of magic, that, but okay. Why do you bring that up? Out of curiosity.
Well, I just want to know what's going on. It seems like whatever is happening to these people may be a little bit above our pay grade, but if we get some people on our side who, may be able to stop it, if there's even, I don't even know if anything's going on like that. I don't know. I'm getting a headache. And she rubs her temples a little bit.
Say, with as much as the Institute is sort of the center of magic, the druids would know if there's things that aren't as they're supposed to be. They might also be worth talking to try to get some info on if they've noticed things that are unusual.
That is fair. Growing up at the monastery of Landwillen and Imajolkia, they always were quite acutely aware of their surroundings. especially toward any disturbances in nature nearby. There were often these, you see, beasts coming from the Feywilds, things of that nature. Imajokia is somewhat of an epicenter for such things. Am I using that term correctly? I believe I am.
A little smoke came out of your nostrils when you said big words.
Does it? He kind of like feels around at his face.
It might just be my smoke.
It seems like every clue we find just leads to more questions. Val goes,
Does he do the horse thing for real?
Yeah. I was seriously going to ask that.
I'm not answering that.
No, but it occurs to me that if the library had these records, at least of this individual, who had been here previously, and then the people who made these records had no recollection of it, and this is someone who was active even up until today.
This is the second demonstration of such a thing that we've found. What with the other journal?
And, that we found it to be, essentially with a family that sort of disappeared over time. I think this might be something to where maybe we want to go speak with the druids first to see if they've noticed it before we bring this to the Institute, because the Institute is more about skepticism first before they start to they'll look for something concrete in order to start really investigating.
Of course, that's the nature of magic, isn't it?
But
Well, that's the nature of the book using magic users, I'll say.
Interesting. Are you a different variety?
I'm a little different from most, yeah.
That's fair. I've met all kinds in my travels. He looks thoughtful for a moment, but Yestis doesn't continue that thought. He pulls out the little flask from his long coat, takes a swig, places it back. As he opens it, everybody roll a perception check, please.
To notice how naked he is underneath the coat?
No. He's not a flasher. He's a gnome, which is close.
Oh, is that a nat one?
Oh no.
We'll say Yolanthe. As he opens up his coat, you notice that sort of strapped underneath the coat, there is a wand.
A wand?
A pair of wands, actually. It's kind of strapped to his body, like underneath his coat where they're concealed.
Stop making this sound so sexual.
Yeah, don't worry. He just got his hard stick that's underneath his coat.
Strapped on, apparently.
Yep.
Okay, so he's got two wands when he pulled out the flask, is that right?
Yeah, you just seem to notice them. They're kind of like, okay, so you're familiar with like kind of older like detective media, how they would have the like holster that was like strapped to their person, and then like the jacket would go over it. This is the exact same thing, but instead of a gun, it's wands. Two of them.
She leans over to Tess and whispers, "Our little friend is packing heat."
Our friend is very hot. It is actually kind of a cool day.
Yolanthe sighs and says, yes. Yes.
Also,
Tess
I don't
starts-
know. It
Tess
hasn't
starts
been that
fanning
cold. At least not
Yestis.
around here.
She's gonna start fanning him. Just
I've
like
been
with
actually
her
meaning
hands.
to ask, what season is it?
It's fall.
Cool.
Yeah, I didn't adjust the landing page, but but if you look at the shop and actual like city map, the trees are all like colored for fall and everything.
Okay, cool. I didn't
Also
really know
the-
that they changed colors. That's
Yeah, the market district actually also had a bunch of like leaves everywhere and like fall looking colors and stuff.
yeah.
Neat.
All right.
Easy to forget though because it's not always on screen, right?
Well, if we're going to, I say we head to. Well, how far is it from here to the Druid's Temple?
About an hour walk.
Because they said it was going to take some time for them to gather the records on Lurtram. So maybe we go and talk with the Druids first, and then come back and see if they've gotten any progress on the records.
Sounds like a good plan to me. I can go inside and alert the two that are working so hard for us that we'll be back. If it so pleases you.
All right, but try not to catch any sickness and make sure you cover your mouth just in case.
As you wish. And he immediately places his hand over his mouth and walks inside.
How many of us are there in the group right now?
Right now it's let's see. Oh shoot! You know what? I totally forgot about. I keep forgetting about Scriteau, but it's Tess, Scriteau, not Serena, but Sarahi, you, Val, Ian Fear, and Yestis. So 7.
Okay, perfect. What is the challenge rating of a horse? Just like a regular old horse. I know it's a weird thing to ask, but I have a reason.
Give me a second. Let me pull that up. Challenge rating for a horse. So there are different types of horses. There's a draft horse, a riding horse, a seahorse, a giant seahorse, a war horse.
Just a riding horse. Like, is it 1/4 or lower?
Yes, actually, a riding horse is a CR 1/4.
Yeah. Okay. Yolanthe is holding her amulet and muttering some words, and her amulet starts to glow a little bit. Did I say amulet? I meant amulet.
No, you said amulet.
No, you said amulet.
And she kind of starts swirling her hand to conjure something, and you see some things start to materialize, and she grins at the rest and says, I don't really know why we keep walking everywhere, and she casts conjure animals.
Oh,
because
neat.
this is D&D and we do magic things.
I am a little hungry for an amulet now.
You had a burrito. Okay. So the spell summons, in this case, 8, I guess they're kind of like quasi real. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're 8 spirit horses. We only have 7 people, so one of them's just kind of chilling there.
It's carrying the gated goods.
Yeah, it's our little pack horse.
Yeah, it could be a pack horse. You could do that. Okay, yeah, you now have 8 spirit horses. How long do they last? Or when the spell ends. So
When the spell ends. So I guess however long it takes.
1
us
hour.
to-
1 hour.
That's actually perfect because it's gonna. Well, riding it's gonna take you less than an hour, but
Yeah.
about like 45 minutes. So you have an extra 15 minutes with these horses.
We show up in style.
Okay. So are you guys just, well, Val finally comes out. All right. I have let them know.
And we have managed to secure some transportation.
Oh, and every single one of the horses looks at Ian Fear and makes that face at him. Just because.
Val actually like walks up to one of the horses and like pulls like his upper lip up as far as he can. How are they? Wow. All of them at once. Can't quite seem to pull it off though. So does everybody hop on a horse and we're taking it over to the temple? Is that what's going on?
Yep. That's
Yep.
what it sounds like.
The temple is in the southeast of the map there. You can see it kind of peeking out over the trees right here on the screen. What? Okay. I forgot if you click it, it takes you to the thing. Okay. So you ride through the center of town, through the market district once more. Past the street that takes you to What Ails Ya. Yolanthe, as you arrive at the front of the temple, you get that knot in your throat once more.
Yeah, Yolanthe was so excited to cast a spell that she kind of forgot where they were going. So the entire ride, like, she's getting increasingly more like pained and like looking, and she's kind of shakily taking really, really big puffs of her pipe, just over and over again.
Everybody except Yolanthe, go ahead and roll a perception check.
Oh god, I legit just heard like the noise of a goose honking outside. That freaked me out.
What? Ian Fear, you totally notice this. Yolanthe seems to be on edge. He's perspiring. Ian Fear, are you asleep again?
Nope.
Okay. I was like, well, we lost him.
I was looking for that. I was looking for that sound.
Oh, the wank. Honk. So
No,
yeah,
but
you.
So
Okay.
okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say you just noticed that something seems to be amiss with Yolanthe. She seems nervous, perspiring.
I'll say, are you okay?
Yolanthe kind of starts and like sputters a little bit of smoke and starts coughing, and then she gives him a very weak and unconvincing thumbs up.
Valphalin is kind of side-eyeing.
I'll say, are you sure? Because if this is going to be uncomfortable or something that you don't want to handle, we can always just come back at another time.
I'm kind of tempted to roll to see if Yolanthe takes this out or not, but nah, she's quiet for a moment, and then she sighs and says, well, I've been avoiding this place for a bit, but if people are getting hurt, it's more important. Besides, it won't be that bad. It's just druids.
I'll say, I have some understanding on that feeling. My opinions on the Institute, notwithstanding, sometimes we need to face the things we don't have the fondest memories of to try to get the answers we need.
She nods slowly, and then she kind of smiles a little bit like kind of one of those little like half-hearted smiles, but she's like, I guess it'll be easier with you all here anyway. But she like pulls her hood extra like close around her face, and the closer they get to the temple, the more she's like checking to make sure that it's covered.
I'll say, so before we like get close, I'll say, would they recognize you if you were to follow us in as an animal form, or do you think you would be okay without it?
Yolanthe brightens and she says, I think I'll be more comfortable as an animal if it's all the same to you all. I trust y'all can talk to these people a lot better than I could anyway.
Well, if nothing else, perhaps we don't necessarily need to have, you inside as a person, so that way we just have to pose this question as just concerned practitioners.
Yeah.
Indeed. We can take the lead, Yolanthe. You needn't worry yourself.
She looks relieved, but still kind of, fidgety.
Well, it would seem we are here. As you look up, the temple lies before you. Interesting how conversation can cut the length of a trip short, isn't it?
So Yolanthe hops off of her horse and waits for everybody else to do the same before she does a little flourish with her hand, and they all kind of just dissipate.
I'll say, that's an interesting little trick. I'll have to keep that in mind next time.
In your travels here, you have been to 2 other very large campuses, one being the castle, which is a grouping of these, somewhat tall buildings, the other being the Institute, which is yet another grouping of large buildings. But this is different in that, unlike those campuses, this is one enormous building. It bears very intricate designs, most of which are a brass color, and at the very top, you see a roof extending out toward the heavens, but it has it's colored in sort of an earthen hues. Yolanthe, as you look at the door to this place, these massive double doors, they almost seem to grow in size as you stare at them, almost as if they're closing in on you.
She kind of backs up a little bit and, without taking her eyes off the door, feels around and tries to find Tess's hand.
Tess reaches out and grabs her hand and squeezes it reassuringly.
Val hops down off the horse. He places one humongous hand right on your back. It seems to take up your entire back. Val is 7 foot tall. Did I ever mention that? He's huge. Yeah, he's kind of big.
Yolanthe is about to turn into her wolf when she remembers that pair of people outside that one night who were looking for the wolf specifically, and thinks better of it. And she says, actually, I think I'll stay myself, but if it's okay, I think I'll still kind of hang back a bit. But we've put this off long enough. We should just go in.
As you wish.
Yeah,
Val starts making his way up the stairs to the door.
I was going to mention, we always did. We know you could also just come in as the rat form as well.
No, I think I'd rather keep my wits about me, to be honest.
I'll be here in case you need me, you know?
She nods and just starts kind of waiting for everybody else to start walking towards the door, and she kind of hangs back a little bit and follows in. Or follows, closely behind everybody. But, using them kind of as a wall, I guess.
I wish there was a way for me to, just pull this picture and go... Well, actually, there kind of is. But now it's going to take too long. I'll have to do it for next time. But, for now... Once you enter the temple, you're greeted by an elven woman. That is the picture that I have available to me right now. I do have a larger picture, but I cannot access it the way that I'd like to with this pack, but no sooner do you come in, this woman clad in the in sort of the vestiges of a druid turns to look at you, immediately locks eyes with you, Yolanthe, and her eyes widen. You recognize this as one of the two women that were walking that night. This was actually the one that was talking about having had some sort of dream.
Okay. Yolanthe pulls her hood down very quickly, trying to like hide her face before she can recognize her. It may not have worked.
Kind of hastily walks up to you. Walks up to the entire party. Welcome to the Temple of Llanwillen. And she sort of tries to peer underneath your hood, Yolanthe.
So this part probably isn't all that unusual because Yolanthe has that weird disfiguration. So she's, usually pretty pretty frequently hides her face whenever they're out. But this time she's like doing it a little extra. And she kind of backs away, like tries to like move around toward the other side of Val, like to put in between them.
Go ahead and roll a stealth, please. Or if you'd like, you can also roll a plain out dexterity check. I'll let you roll either one of those, whichever one is higher, or whichever one you feel like you want to use.
Oh shoot, I'm on the wrong page. Let's see, stealth or dex? I will go with stealth, I suppose.
Whew. So yeah, you immediately pull that hood down over your eye, and you back behind Val Phelan. The elf immediately gives up her pursuit of seeing this strange, group walk in. You lot were at What Ails You the other day, yeah?
Yeah, we're part of the folks who are going to be talking with the Institute about some things.
I haven't heard anything, but welcome to the Temple of Llanwillen all the same. Do you seek healing for the mind or guidance for the spirit? Or healing for the body?
I think it's our case, it's guiding for the spirit. We have some issues which concern us, and we think that the followers of Llanwillen might have some insight into what's going on, or at least some understanding.
I see. Could you elaborate, please?
We were hired to seek out a book that had been missing from the library. At the time, we recall it being mentioned as being overdue. This was done from one of the people who were not with us, but he was the one who was sought for the job. We were given an address, but when we went to the address, we did retrieve the book, but the person who had the book had not been there, and there was a call for help. When we went to return the book back to the library, they had no memory of the person requesting the book at all, nor even any memory of them having been checked out, even though they had records in their own library of the book having been checked out the previous week.
Who did you speak with? Menorius, Professor Vrago, or Professor Jamilo?
No, not my mother, Professor Vrano.
Oh, are you? You're her, surrogate son, yes?
Yes.
Ah.
We talk with both, actually, but...
Good to put a face to the name. I've known your mother for a couple years now.
That's funny. The way to hear it, as my mother tells me, I usually don't hear the words good in my name together.
Well, all that aside, very strange case that you seem to be working on. What do you mean to glean from the temple?
Well, recently, at least a few of us have noticed occasional bouts where things aren't normal, or there's sort of a sense of unusualness, perhaps a lack of an unusualness in terms of just a wrong feeling that's going on. And accompanying this apparently is the fact that there are people who seem to just disappear from existence with no memories from the people who would have known them, but with all sorts of evidence to at least physical evidence to prove otherwise.
Interesting. And do you know when these happenings began?
Well, we know that at least the person who was missing this book, or who had the book, had at least had records for a week, or at least up to this previous week beforehand, so presumably for at least that long. Considering that they had mentions of a person they were supposed to meet up with who never showed up. We also have a diary from a family an entire family who disappeared, but their house still filled with their belongings and everything.
So this seems relatively recent. Interesting that this seems to indicate a week, is it?
At least. Not only that, but the person who disappeared who had the book, by all accounts, they had made a journal entry today, so this is something that happened as recently as today.
I was also called into town on a job to locate a missing person, but when I arrived, nobody seemed to know who it was or had any idea of a missing person, even the reportee, or even the reporter. This strangely seems to line up with something. It's probably nothing, but please, let us find a more private place to talk, if it so suits you.
While they've all been talking, Yolanthi's definitely kind of looking around the temple. Can you describe the interior of it?
This main area right past the entrance foyer is a huge room with vaulted ceilings. There are pillars that sort of line the interior, and a series of pews that lead up to a huge dais is what that's called, on top of which has your typical, what do they call it? Like an altar at the back. There doesn't seem to be some of the more usual fixtures of other temples that are Llanwillan. Like, they don't have any kind of place for people who give sermons. It looks like it's more of a place for people to come in, make their own worship at the altar, and then perhaps sit and meditate in the pews.
Okay. So she kind of tilts her head. She's looking around totally confused. she has exactly one idea of what temples. She's only ever, well, known about one temple, and she did not care for it. And this one is totally different from what she was expecting. So she's like looking around, like she kind of actually breaks away from the group just a little bit to go towards the altar to kind of get a better look at it.
Walking up to the altar, this looks like a pretty standard altar as far as you've seen, and definitely you have seen a few altars to Llanwillen. This one, differing from the one that you grew up with, doesn't seem to have any sort of... This doesn't have any sort of relation to the seasons that you would have placed at a Temple of Llanwillen. Kind of odd to you, but this one just seems to have a bunch of offerings of various food, and there seem to be like some notes that are laid out, that are just kind of laid out on the altar. It looks like it. Well, they're little like notes with writing on them. You can't discern what.
Yeah, I was about to say I wouldn't be able to know what they say, but she kind of like smiles a little bit, and she's like, I guess this one's different.
Do you say that out loud?
Yes. Like kind of to herself, but she definitely says it out loud.
Different in what way? Jalis, by the way. Jalis Woodheart.
Oh. Yolanthe definitely catches herself. Like she realizes that she's supposed to be like keeping her distance from this person, but she kind of stares at her a little bit, and she's like, it's just different.
Do you make eye contact with her?
Yeah, because I guess I should have mentioned, but when she went up to the altar, she kind of lifted her hood up a little bit to get a better look, and she kind of forgot that she was so enraptured with checking out the like how different this place is and how all the offerings and everything that she kind of forgot herself.
Immediately as you look into her eyes widen. She looks directly into your eyes and she goes, "It's you."
No, it's not.
You're the one from my dream.
I don't know what you're talking about. And she pulls her hood back down immediately.
Well, yeah, no. I mean you no harm. She like puts her hands out toward you. 1 week ago, I had a vision. Sometimes I receive them. They're a gift from Mother Llanwillen. I know I've seen your face. It's the eye, the mark of Llanwillen.
Slowly, Yolanthe pulls her hood off, and she's kind of like very, very warily looking at this person, but she's like hearing them out.
You pull your hood completely off, exposing your hair?
Yeah.
She kind of like, once again, it looks very shocked. An Eladrin? If I may, I would very much like you to accompany me to see the Elder.
Oh, as soon as she says the Elder, Yolanthe goes full fight stance. And she yells in this really like bestial voice, I will never go back.
She kind of pauses, doesn't really know what to say, but she also backs off. Oh, all right. As for the rest of you and your... As for the rest of you and your troubles, I'm honestly not sure what to make of it myself. I will have to bring this to the attention of the elders.
I will I'll mention to them after sort of shaking my head at the sort of the interaction there with Yolanthe. I'll say, one thing I will say that I've noticed is frequently I've had a lot of, let's say, memories come back of probably at least one of the earliest horrible experiences in my life return. But each time it's always altered into something different happening. Well, it's the same thing happening, but different outcomes.
Different outcomes. How do you mean?
Well, I don't know if my mother ever told you about the trial I took when I went to be a part of the Institute, but towards the end, I had to perform a test to cast Fireball.
You turned Professor Torzalan into a squirrel.
Right.
It's common knowledge. You're the only person that ever turned one of the professors into a squirrel. She kind of laughs under her breath.
Well, I mean, I did always think I'm a bit small in stature in terms of.
He is small,
neither
isn't
here
he?
nor here. Point is, each night I go back to this event, but when I do, he changes into something completely different. Most recently, he transformed into some sort of giant beast.
I've never been one to interpret the dreams of others quite well. That would be something to bring up to the elder. What I can tell you is this, and once again she looks directly at you, Yolanthe.
She looks at where Yolanthe was, but Yolanthe casts Pass Without Trace, and she is trying to make her way back outside the temple.
Oh, is Yolanthe gone?
Well, I think you have to roll a...
Oh,
Dang it,
perception.
I wish these damn things would stay open. I don't know why they keep collapsing.
Oh,
The
I see the
little-
pass without trace.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I cast it. I think you have to to roll a
Let's see.
something.
It would be
Man,
the...
I'm good at
It would have been, since she wasn't actively looking for you at the time, her passive perception, unless you are sneaking out as she goes to look for you, in which case it would be active perception.
Oh, okay.
And you would have to roll an opposing stealth check. So, if you would like to go ahead and roll that, I can have her roll a perception.
Yeah, she's trying to like make her way back outside.
I was gonna say, so it is a +10 to the to your.
It is a +10.
roll for stealth.
Why are my dice?
Oh no!
Toasty? I thought I was. Oh come on, stupid dice!
That is a 1.
I like smacked my knee into one of the pews or something. I don't know.
Well.
Also,
Given-
my dice are different. They used to be like animal print. Now they're like ghost dice.
Yeah, that might be
What?
due to the update. We'll have to go in and double check a lot of
okay.
that stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, D&D and Foundry had like an official release, so that might have messed with some of our mods,
Oh,
our
right. on.
modules.
I mean, at least they can now be Ghastly or Haunter.
Well, despite your friend's persistence, I seem to have had a dream about them, and it went something like this. I have these dreams, you see. Lanwillen speaks to me. And in this one, she instructed me to wait for a wolf. And that wolf would bear the mark of Lanwillen. I was able to see this person in my dream, and it is indeed your friend, I'm sure of it. She said that I should first guide them to the elder. And then...
Yolanthe has decided the jig is up, and she comes to rejoin, standing beside the party. But she is like glowering at this. You said that's an elf, right?
Yes, it's an elf.
Okay.
After which, the elder would take us into the Verdant Enchantra to commune with Lanwillen. To what end, I don't know, but it seems to have been implied that something is wrong. Given your arrival and the timeliness of everything, curious if these things are intertwined. You understand?
This elder, do you know what they call him?
Oh, of course. He's a Falscree of the Circle.
Hmm.
You've
Okay.
never heard that name.
Yeah, I was about to say, she's actually much more relaxed now. Like, something about this name has put her at ease, and she's like, oh, I'm terribly sorry. I thought you meant, someone else. I can go with you to see this elder.
Once again, her eyebrows raised, but she immediately, your business is yours. If you do ever require, well, guidance or the spirit, I would be happy to assist in that journey. Otherwise, I would be happy to take you to see the elder. He's currently in the Verdant Enchantra, mind you.
I see. She looks at Val with, like, kind of a look on her face like, what the fuck does that mean?
You recognize the term Verdant Enchanter from before. It's the forest that surrounds the
Oh, okay.
city.
In that case, IRL, I look at you like, what the fuck does that mean?
The
But,
forest is magical, you see. We believe that it is closely connected with Lanwillen.
Yeah. She touches her amulet and she says, more than you might know.
Intriguing.
Well,
At any rate,
I sense this is a solo mission, I suppose. She turns to the others and says, I guess let me know how the book thing goes.
your friends are welcome to come. There's one other thing that happens before you're able to leave. Another, is it an elf? Oh no, this one's actually a human. Seems to approach from a back room, something of that sort. But marches directly up to you, Tess. Looks like that.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, we're gonna have to reload into the game.
Oh, okay.
It's not letting me.
Oh no. It seemed to work for Tess, though.
Well, I mean, it would because
Well, we are about to cut at any rate, but we don't have much time left in that.
I
Thank you,
mean,
Claire.
we can talk about it next time then. But I mean, just finish off, I suppose.
Indeed. So before you're able to leave, this woman approaches you, Tess. And you should be able to see this on the stream at any rate, but Kalimvarite. Yeah?
How did you know?
She gestures at your symbol. Pulls up her own.
Oh, wow. Pardon Tess being flustered, but this is one of Tess's first time meeting one of you outside of where I learned of Kelenvor originally.
Have you come to the temple?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, she says, have you come to the temple?
No?
I see. Well, if you seek our Lord's guidance, then I'll see you again.
Sounds good. Your name?
Ah, Penora Woodbourne.
Nice to meet you. I'm Tess.
Tess. It's good to meet you, M.
Just Tess.
Ah, just Tess. Well, I will be here.
I like her already.
We are going to get along.
You sure are just Tess.
Despite bearing a symbol of Kalimvor, she still has the sort of vestments of what you would associate with druid. Her robes are adorned with various branches, with sort of devoid of any like leaves or any sort of living things like most of the other druids that
So
you've
instead
seen
of
around.
towards the spring, it'd be more towards like the fall or even the winter look.
Yeah, perhaps, yes. She
Yes, that makes sense.
she's human though. She's not Eladrin, so she doesn't have any of the actual like features that say Yolanthe has. But this is all adornments, garb that she's wearing. She also bears tattoos on her face, and her makeup blacks out her eyes. Very creepy. She walks back toward another door at the back of the temple and proceeds through. Yeah, if you weren't aware, Jalis says, there's a temple of Kalimvor beneath the temple.
Tess was not aware. We'll
Death,
definitely need to check it out.
death is a natural part of life, you see, and thus our temples are joined.
It sounds perfectly balanced.
Indeed. We all work for the balance of nature. Now, if you will accompany me to the Verdant Enchantra.
Gladly.
That's
And
where we're going to...
Yolanthe turns to the others and she says, "You don't have to come if you would rather focus on the task at hand, but the place, the forest, oh, it's so beautiful."
Val once again places a enormous dragonborn hand upon your shoulder and says, "You asked that we see to your protection. I intend not to go back on that promise."
Oh, it's actually fine. I was a little afraid, but now I'm not.
Are you restricting us from going?
I don't think it'll be very useful to you guys, but you're welcome to come. At least I think. And she looks over to Jalis to confirm.
Dallas nods. Your friends are welcome. They may even commune with Lanwillin if they please.
Then I suppose we shall go.
As you walk, she says, many come to the forest to commune. It is a place of sanctuary for most. For others, is the place of vision. The forest is called the Enchantra because it is enchanted, you see.
Oh. Where I used to live, there was a forest near my own temple, and that's where I got this. And she points at her eye. Lanmillan saved my life. and she bound me to the forest.
I wonder if that... Well, it's speculation. In a way, I admire your closeness to Lanwillen.
Yolanthe looks a little bit sad, and she says, I wish other people, did as well. But it brought me a great deal of peace and freedom, and even if it wasn't saving my life, it did. Does that make sense?
I think so. We all have our own experiences with the goddess. Val walks forward and he sort of hoists open this or kind of shoves open this door slowly. It's huge and heavy, wooden. Well, after you then.
Me?
Anybody, really.
I mean, yeah.
You all step through the door, and this is where we're going to go ahead and pick up next time. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. We'll go ahead and cut to that particular scene. Hey, there we go. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a fun episode, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Like I said before, Rec is also going to be out for that one, so this will be... well, we're going to pick up right where we left off. It'll be okay. Until then, I am VGpunx, your most gracious DM, and we are signing off. Keep a song in your heart.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.